Welcome to Mom Boss Central. I'm your host, Alexia Hoffman. This podcast is where entrepreneurial moms like you and me come together for real and raw conversations filled with practical tips, genuine stories, and a whole lot of girl power. But it's not just about listening, it's about building a community. If you haven't already, make sure to join at mombosscentral.com. So whether you're sipping on a cup of coffee, pouring yourself a glass of wine, or tuning in on the go, get ready to join the conversation and become part of our supportive Mom Boss Central community. All right, Jackie, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you on. I'm here today with Jackie Dighans. Jackie, can you please introduce yourself to those who might not be familiar with you?
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me. So I am, first of all, daughter of God. I walk with God in my life. I need him. I have 10 children, and that was
Wow.
only because I felt led to raise a large family. Didn't love kids growing up. There wasn't any reason to raise one except for obedience. So since then, I homeschooled for about 20 years until God said, put your kids in school. And from that point, he led me to becoming a coach. I help leaders uncover limiting beliefs so that they can live in triumph from a place of rest. So that was a journey God put me on as I had a house full of kids that I was running business. And then I'm also an author and a speaker. So I'm thankful to be. Yeah, well, for me, it's who I am. It's like part of my identity. Because in Christ, he says he is our peace. So if we have Christ in us, if we're believers and we know that he's there, then we can believe we can have peace as well. And he says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. Well, I remember being that way in my home, doing my own chores, my own kids. And
Yeah.
if I didn't tap into that, just learning from him, come to me and you will find rest. So it's finding rest in him. It's not in the things going on, because we all have all the things happening in our lives, the different levels of trials, whether it's losing your keys or losing a loved one or, all the things in between. But he's saying, it's in me that you find rest. It's not finding a day, because in my home, there was never a day. Kids were always needing things, even at night, So I had to look within and go, God, I need you to be my rest and live from that being my identity. I'm a restful person. I walk only because of who I am. Yeah, thank you. I want to share one other thing that I think will be helpful to your audience, is that when I had about 6 kids and I was sitting on my couch and they were running around, there was a few older ones that we did music together, and I was crying. I was like, I don't know how to manage this home. I don't know how to do my kids well. I need your help, God. And at that moment, I looked up above my window in that room. I had a verse that a friend had just given me. She had got 2, right? So it wasn't necessarily picked out for me, except I know God picked it for me. And what it said was, unless the Lord build the house, those who build it labor in vain. And it was at that moment that I said, God, I need you to build my house. I need you to show me how to do my children. I need you to intervene in the efficiency of the home and how we make everything work as we're building a family of, we didn't know what size, we ended. But it was a baby every other year. So there were constant changes and new dynamics and pregnant or nursing in that 20 years, the whole time, one or the other. And so it was there. I was like, God, I don't want to get to the end of this. So whatever the people in the audience are building, right? Whatever, whether marriage, family, business, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, if we don't like take our hands off the wheel and let him lead us, like really be a follower, like, God, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Then we could get to the end of our life having done it in vain. And I
Yeah.
know for me at that moment, I was like, I don't want to get to the end of this, especially when, I mean, we work so hard as moms, right? To do the right
Yeah.
thing with our kids. And I'm like, I don't want to end this in vain. God, just help me. And I literally backed up. Like, I slowed down in my day and was like really mindful of how I was being in my day. And
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
joyful with my kids. I mean, with homeschooling, that was all they were learning from me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I need to not yell here. I need to change what I'm doing so that
Mm-hmm.
the results, you know,
Yeah.
that I want in the end for my family or what my marriage, whatever I'm doing. So I wanted to put that little piece in there. Yeah. Well, what if we take the pressure off of it? You know,
Mm.
sometimes we get into that place of pressure and condemnation when we're not doing it.
Yeah.
God's just saying, I love you and I want a relationship. So
Yeah.
what's a simple thing, even if it's in the middle of a short Bible story with your kids at
Mm.
at whatever
Yeah.
you with a newborn right now or
Yeah.
whatever someone else has is just like it doesn't have to religiously look a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but just some way, like even if it's putting worship music on, just like
Yeah.
bringing our minds to God, even if it's not the daily, I gotta read this,
Yeah.
yeah, because when we're feeling that condemnation, we don't want to go to God. We're like
Yeah.
as much as we want to, we're feeling like he's mad at us, like he's not there for us when those are the times when we're feeling low or whatever that we should be running to him like, I need your help, God. I don't know how
Yeah.
to do this. Just lead me there and just begin that relationship of just he loves me. He loves
Yeah.
me. He wants me to come to him no matter what
Yeah.
happened. And I think that's a lie of the enemy to keep us separated from God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I entered into that because I knew I wanted God's results, not my own in my life.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to help me with my kids and not just me. Just I'm on my own agenda here. That feels
Yeah.
scary to me to be, I
Yeah.
can do this type thing, but realizing I can't do it without him. So
Yeah.
as I move forward, then, I'm homeschooling and I'm starting to feel like, God, I'm going to need a lot of creativity and energy to continue this homeschool. By the time we had 10 in the house, I had been homeschooling for almost 20 years or whatever it was.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, I basically had a baby every other year and there's
Okay.
18 years between them.
Oh
So
my
it was like,
gosh.
there's a little bit more space between the third and fourth, because that's actually when God was like, I want you to raise a large family. And I,
Mm.
oh, okay, so there was just
Yeah.
a little bit more space when we realized, oh, God wants us to do 27 down to 8 years old is what we have now. 5 are
Okay.
home still. I had
Wow.
7 in the home when God called me in to go toward business. And
Wow.
we had always run our own business. We had a greenhouse landscape company. My husband was
Okay.
a master electrician. So we
Oh
had
wow.
our own business as we were homeschooling and incorporated that. But then we were called to shut that business down. And then
Oh okay.
almost at the same time that our homeschool ended as well. Because
Okay.
that was part of our flow, they could go
Yeah.
help in that. So that took my husband into kind of a breakdown season. And it
Mm.
launched me off into going to Bible school, then becoming
Wow.
a coach. I was like, okay, God, and putting my kids in school. So we switched
Wow.
7 of them to the public school system. And I still had one preschooler that went to daycare for the first one in the family that ever went to
Wow.
daycare. Yeah, it was a very intense time. My husband was out of the home more than he was home for a year and a half, working in
Mm.
the oil fields, and the kids were new to school. And so I was running kids to practice, and I was going to Bible school, and just literally taking one step at a time and staying in joy, staying in
Mm.
as much as I was just like, God, I need you. I cannot, it was like I couldn't live this out, just me. I mean, it was
Yeah.
too much. So it was that yielding, that surrendering, like one step at a time. And, throughout the years, I always was saying in my homeschool and then after, we're moving forward. Because there's been so many times in my life where the plan wasn't happening. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
a kid sick or
Yeah.
something just isn't getting done that was planned, but
Yeah.
there's always something else to learn or grow in outside of the plan. So I stopped
Mm-hmm.
stuck in what wasn't happening in my
Mm-hmm.
plan and trusting.
Definitely.
What if we can do that as moms, as business owners? Just
Mm-hmm.
steps.
Yeah.
And what's the next thing? One thing that I started doing when I started to just get serious, like, God, I need to hear from you here, is I would quote this: I know my shepherd's voice, and a stranger's voice I will not follow. So I started believing I was hearing from God,
Mm.
because it says that we as sons or daughters of God are led by the Spirit of
Mm.
questioning and doubting and wondering. I would just started believing He's leading me in
Yeah.
choosing homeschool curriculum, in deciding how I like discipline or train my kids. I would just
Mm-hmm.
believe, because in John it talks about the disciples asking Jesus, what is it for us to do the work of God?
Mm.
And it's to believe. So what
Yeah.
if we just start believing, like believing
Mm-hmm.
the word, obeying whatever, like that simple verse, right? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
to mind and or comes, in our devotional or the verse that pops up. What if we just simply start believing it? And if it's something to obey, start walking that out. And that's our word, is to believe, to have faith,
Yeah.
like God is,
Definitely.
He is leading me. The enemy wants to try to make us think like, nope, you're gonna miss it. But God
Mm-hmm.
says He is with us. So whether we go this way, like to the right or to the left,
Mm-hmm.
He is with us. And I believe that He will shut the door if we are on the wrong path, or He'll walk with us through whatever space we're going through.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
there tends to be a fear there that we'll miss. In my situation, I had to walk in a lot of trust that,
Mm-hmm.
and He had already shown me how faithful He was. So what if we can look back on where we've been and just see how God's walked us through? There may have been a lot
Yeah.
of hard things that we've walked through. I mean, I had a sister pass away and leave 3 kids when we were just 3 years apart. My husband
Mm.
going through a breakdown for several years. But
Mm.
I saw the faithfulness of God. So what if we can just start choosing, if we haven't already, to grow through the trials, to start seeing God's hand even in the hard things, not just wishing away the troubles or the trials, but going, God, I don't want to go through this the next trial the same way again. So grow me in strength, because we will continually have things come up in our lives that are gonna try to shake us,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we move then forward into the next phase of life. What if we look back and just go, look at how he showed up then? He's gonna guide me and just take the next step, and not get stuck in the part that we think didn't work out or isn't good,
Yeah.
but just, okay, what's the next step here? Because, at first when I started out my business, it was very rocky because of things happening with our church and different things. I said, God, what do you want me to do? And he said, write your book. So I wrote my books. I have 2 books out and I'm working on the next one. So just, I didn't know I was going to start out writing books, but being willing to pivot and be flexible as far as what's happening, as you walk out your business. Well, this is what I know. God doesn't give us more than we can handle. And so for me, it looks like knowing that my kids will benefit from seeing me take hard steps. Right.
Definitely.
So not feeling like I'm necessarily being taken away when I'm working on business, but they get to almost be a part by cooperating in some way when I need to be in the office or writing, that they then are helping with some of the things outside, or they're younger, that, okay, you get to be with dad right now. And, just like being positive about the steps that I need to take for what God's called me to, or, called
definitely.
into, and not feeling like it's negative or a shame that you can't be where you were. Because I've even said, my older kids, they're like, Mom, you're totally different than you were. And I said, I'm thankful, because in that many years, if I hadn't grown and changed as a parent, I don't think I would have been listening to God or walking right if I hadn't changed some, that it's possible, so just not taking on a shame or guilt. Also acknowledging God in all your ways. I often ask God, give me time to do this. Like right now, I've recorded my books. God actually a radio station that I could record them in, which was amazing.
Wow.
I didn't have to have that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So now
Definitely.
I'm editing them. So I'm learning about the editing software, and I'm talking with him as I go. I'm not striving in it, but I'm asking him for time to show me when to sit down and how to do it, and being willing to call on the people that know.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
So just acknowledging him in all our ways, and he makes the path.
And that could.
Yes, that's so good. That's such a good message. Yes. And I think another point on that too is just not getting stuck in perfection. Just being willing to step to the next thing. It might look a little sloppy, like even as I started writing my books, I'm like, I don't know how to put this together. Thankfully, I had a coach that God led me to just get the framework down. And I didn't realize, I think sometimes we don't realize also what's already in us on some of the things that God's called us to do. Because I know when I started writing my book, even though I hadn't written anything specific down about it, I knew every
Mm-hmm.
chapter's title and the title of the book in one
Mm.
line. And it was
Yeah,
because it was already in
definitely.
being willing to step out. It may feel a little sloppy at first because you're not sure exactly,
Mm-hmm.
but just don't stop. Just keep taking the next step and it will open up. God can much more move us when we're moving rather than when we're stuck in fear or
Yes,
not
definitely.
move forward. Yeah. And I think too, being willing to, I recently stepped toward something, toward a position, and realized I couldn't do it because I'm not in like in the city limits or whatever the situation.
Mm.
So, and you can sometimes think, oh, well, you missed God. But I think just sometimes being willing to take the steps, I think it creates a boldness in us. Like there's always
Yeah.
something to learn, and being willing just to be obedient, even when it doesn't make sense. Or, I don't think that me stepping toward that situation that I just did was a waste of time. I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
had. I think maybe I opened a door to something else, or saw the strength and boldness that I had grown in to be able to step
Yeah.
toward a certain position that God led me in. So I think just being willing to take steps that feel a little bit scary, like a little bit above where we think we are, because God's
Yeah.
open those waters for us and wants us to walk through, right? Yeah, thank you. It's been great here. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm on all the platforms there. They can just find me at Jackie Dighans. I'm just on those places there. I also have a website. It's Living Cover, and you'll find a free gift on there. But so I encourage you to go and grab that free gift. It's a PDF of my life confessions, things that I spoke over my life and family for years to get me into this place, just thriving as a mom, wife, business owner, just knowing who
Yeah.
I am, walking in that
Yeah.
identity. And I also just want to share on my website, you'll find I have a membership group that people can join. I actually take people through my books. I have two covered living in triumph while going through trials. So this is just a story of my life, what I believed in spaces where it looked like it wasn't going to work out. And God showed me scripture to believe and walk in that
Mm.
helped me rise up in life. And then also, this is a devotional style. It's called What If You Believe? And it's
Mm. I love that.
31 beliefs or verses that we can act on from the living word to bring about life change. Because we actually live out of what we believe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we truly believe the word, then we will act that out and our lives will look different.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to search through my website, maybe join my membership group. It's a low-cost group that just really help people get solidified in who they are, what the word's saying, and what if you believe this for your.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for having.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. It was fun chatting.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Mom Boss Central. I hope you found inspiration, encouragement, and maybe even a few new strategies to rock your mom boss journey. Remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together. And don't forget to share the love with your fellow mom bosses. Make sure to join the community at mombosscentral.com. It's completely free and a space to connect with like-minded women. All you have to do is sign up and start connecting. Until next time, keep pursuing your passions and living authentically. We're so happy to have you as part of the Mom Boss Central community.